Hey guys, Mike here. Our Patreon page is up. If you want to support the show, head on over to patreon.com/The Road Stories Podcast. In return for your support, I've got some great stickers, keychains, and music. You'll get access to every song used in every episode, including this crunchy track. And yes, I said crunchy because I'm cool like that. All right, I'm done.
I'm Honda Pro Jason. Real name is Jason Richmond. Originally from Chicago. I'm a Honda brand advocate. Been in love with the Honda brand for many years, actually. Not to date myself, but about 1987, my love for Honda started. From them, I just like to educate people and entertain them with Honda philosophy, Honda history, tips and tricks. And I've traveled around the world talking to people about the Honda brand and educating them on Honda history, on new technologies. I educate Honda salesmen around the world, and I attend Honda events around the world. And for most people, I'm the #1 brand advocate out there. Do a lot of work with Honda corporate, a lot of work with enthusiasts. It's a lot of fun. I couldn't imagine making a living any other way. Even though it is a 24-hour job, 7 days a week, and I do have a family, I could see them once or twice a month pretty much.
That's crazy.
But I absolutely love what I do. My passion and enthusiasm, I think, has got to me where I am now. And that's me in a 30-second nutshell.
You said that there's a small percentage of people that didn't recognize you as the #1 Honda brand advocate. Is there another, like, imposters, like a Honda Pro Dave or something like that that's out there trying to do the same thing?
So the name Honda Pro was basically, in my mind, is Honda Professional. I'm a professional about the Honda brand. I am no means a Honda professional mechanic.
Right.
In fact, I don't do any of the work on my cars at all. I leave that to the other professionals.
Sure.
So there were, I guess, some people, they still might be out there looking at me saying, listen, you're not a Honda Pro. You can't even change an engine. You don't do your own oil. How could you possibly be a Honda Pro?
Yeah.
When what I do is I'm an enthusiast. I love the brand. And I also think it's important for me to support other brands.
Sure.
Other people that do the work, the Honda technicians that do the work on my car,
right.
The dealerships that help me out. I want to help support that. And I'm the one that knows about the brand. That makes me a professional on Honda, not so much the mechanic part.
Got it. Understood. I think it's pretty well known at this point that I'm also a Honda guy, but my passion clearly doesn't extend as far as yours. So help me understand where this Honda Pro Jason guy came from.
That's a great question. So Honda Pro Jason, which is my name, it's really not a character I play. It's a life I live, basically. It's 24/7.
Yeah, it's your brand.
It's my brand, 100%. And it all started back in 1987. My parents bought the very first new Honda, and my dad was a GM guy. Loved Chevy, just loved GM, always drove GMs, but he was sick of the problems he kept having. Last instance I remember, my mom came home and said, listen, I was driving down the highway, it was a little bit slippery, and her Cavalier, she had a Z24. It literally started spinning in the middle of the highway without her doing anything. Totally lost control of the car. My dad's like, that's it. We're going to go buy this new car called a Honda. Some of my other friends were looking at them. New Accord was out, so they bought an 87 Honda Accord LXI.
Okay.
It was dark gray, 5-speed, and they brought it home, and I looked at it, and I was in high school, and I was like, this is amazing. Like, the build quality is outstanding. Like, everything, nothing's falling off. All the gaps are nice and tight. Like, the seats are comfortable. I don't understand why this is so different. So that was a car that brought me through high school. So I had my first dates, I had my proms, I had everything in there. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like, I'm in love with this car. So when it came time for me to buy my first new car, 1984, actually December of 93, I went to Honda. I'm like, listen, I want to buy the new Honda Accord, 1994, 2-door, 5-speed. That's the exact car I want. I drove it. I loved it. The next day, I started taking the car apart. I'm like, listen, I need to know how this is put together. Like it was just like, and I didn't really know why I did it, but my dad told me later that whenever I got toys for, holidays or my birthday, the first thing I would do is I'd flip it upside down. I'd take the batteries out. I'd start unscrewing the bottom to see what was inside.
Okay.
I never really worked on them or fixed them. I guess I was just curious on how they worked.
Okay.
How the wires went, where the mechanism was, how the gears worked.
You were smart enough not to screw with it and break it.
I was smart enough, right? Which is interesting because I have a 2.5-year-old son, Maximus. He does the exact same thing.
Really?
And my wife was like, why every toy does he flip over and take the batteries out? I go, that's what I did. She goes, why? I go, I don't know why. I didn't teach him. It's just...
So weird.
It's strange, right?
Yeah.
So I bought this 94 Accord, started taking it apart, started modifying it, started changing things in it. I'm kind of embarrassed to say this, but I took the Honda H off the back and there's 2 holes that hold on that emblem.
Yeah.
I put LEDs in those holes and attached it to the brake lights.
All right.
It was that time. People thought it was cool,
It's the 90s.
It was the 90s.
We'll let it go.
So, and that's actually the first car I learned my first tip and trick on.
Okay.
And I read the manual and I went back to the dealership. I'm like, man, this is so cool. What else does this car do? And like, what does it do? I went on the radio. There was a bass and treble and then the fader and balance.
Okay.
If you took the bass and treble, you pressed it in, it would pop out so you could adjust the bass and the treble. There's a little button there. Well, if you took that bass and treble knob and you yanked on it, there would be a click and it would click out one more time and then you could adjust the brightness for the radio.
Oh, okay.
So the brightness for the whole dash would go up and down for the dash. It would have a little knob there.
Okay.
But the radio would say bright.
Okay.
If you wanted the radio to go down, you needed that little tip and trick where you pulled it out one more time and no one knew it. And I went back and told, all the salesmen and they're like, we had no idea. Like, how do you not know? So I kept going back asking more and more questions. They're like, listen, you're asking us questions we don't know the answers for. And you love this so much. Why don't you just work here? I'm like,
okay.
Doing what? Like, why don't you be a salesman? And this is 1996. And I'm like, never went to school to be a salesman. Like, don't I need like education? Like,
Right.
No, we'll teach you everything. Okay. So I got a job there and I started telling, all my customers how great the brand was. And I started researching about their history and their racing heritage and, why Honda is such a different brand than the domestics, different than Toyota, Nissan, and just the philosophies were different.
Yeah.
And customers loved it. And then all the salesmen started asking me questions all the time about technology. And then the technicians started asking me questions like, hey, listen, we have this car. We can't figure out Bluetooth. Like, you're a technician. Like, yeah, we can fix it if it's broken.
Right.
But the actual feature, no clue.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, let me show you. And then I was walking through the shop one day and one of the technicians, a master tech, goes, hey, hang on a second. Hey, Honda Pro, you know everything about this. Come over here and help these guys.
Okay.
I was like, Honda Pro, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll use that.
It's got a good ring to it.
It's got a good ring to it. So that just, I was always I was kind of in the scene. So I always went to car shows and then the internet started hitting real big.
Yeah.
And YouTube started hitting real big.
Yep.
So about 6 years ago, a guy came in to trade in his old car. And one thing I asked, being a salesman, one thing I always ask customers, I was like, hey, what do you want your new car to do for you that your old car didn't?
Okay.
Easy, right?
Yeah.
Mike, you come in, I was like, hey, what do you want your new car to do for you that your old car didn't? You're like, hey, you know what?
Everything.
Everything. I want a CD player. I want more space. I want, whatever. So, and then for me as a salesman,
sure,
that's what I sold him. It was simple.
Yeah.
So this guy goes, you know what, Jason? I want my back seats to go down. He had a 2002 Accord.
Okay.
He's like, I want my back seats to go down.
And they didn't in the 2002.
Well, he didn't think they did.
Ah.
He's like, I'm always borrowing someone else's car. I have to rent a car for these longer items. And I'm like, your seats do go down.
Yeah.
Is what do you mean? And that car is a little bit of a trick. You take the key and you put it in the rear deck lid and inside the car. And when you turned it one way, it would unlock half the seat.
Got it.
Turn it the other way to unlock the other half of the seat.
So it's not that push or pull.
Not the push pull with the things like that. So Honda's always tried to make it secure from the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Your Acura and your SI. Those cars, you can't put the back seats down from the inside. You have to go inside the trunk.
Yeah.
And the reason for that, if someone broke into your car, they wouldn't have access to your trunk.
Okay.
So you put your valuables in the trunk. They break a window. They can take whatever's inside the car, but they can't access the trunk. It's a Honda thing.
Yeah.
Most other vehicles, they pull these little pull tabs. You can just pull the seat right down.
Right.
More convenient, but no security.
Yeah. Yeah. Come to think of it. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
okay. I see. All right, Honda. Okay.
See?
Okay.
So I tell this guy, I'm like, hey, your seats do go down. He goes, no, they don't. He goes, I'll bet you $1,000. I'm like, dude, listen, I'm not going to take your money, but I know everything about these cars. I will show you. I walked outside, put the key in there, turned it, put the seats down, dust, leaves, everything came out. The guy's like, oh my God, they come down.
Yeah.
I started thinking he could have gone to Nissan, Ford, Toyota, Dodge, and they would have said, our seats go down. And he would have never bought a Honda and never seen me. So I'm like, you know what? Let me do a video. These engineers that are for Honda put so much money and time into these little quirks of the car that a lot of people don't know, like putting this back seats down with the key. Let me do a video. Let me call it Tips and Tricks on the new Honda Accord. And I did, and people loved it. And they're like, I want another video. Okay. So I kind of found, you know how they say you have to find a need, a void, and fill it?
Yeah.
That was the void.
Yeah. I understand your passion for Honda. It's a great brand. It's one of my favorite brands. But why limit yourself to being just Honda Pro Jason instead of, let's say, Car Pro Jason?
I have had so many people ask me the same question. Why don't you do Toyota? Why don't you do Chevy?
Right.
I go, it's not my passion. My passion is Honda.
Yeah.
You know, like Honda's my team. So I don't really watch sports. I don't really follow teams. But people, you know, they're like, oh, so what, you know, how do you feel? I go, it's my team.
Right.
Like, I don't always love them. They do things that don't, you know, they'll make me happy.
Sure.
You know, they trade quarterbacks or they make wrong plays in a pivotal game, you know, something that's super important.
Right.
But I love them and I stand behind them, you know, no matter what.
Okay, good.
And people have tried to replicate what I've done with other brands without the passion. I think it just comes off as being fake and people just don't buy it.
Yeah, because you're just trying to fill that void because you saw that someone else filled a different void. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be able to do it right. The people that are the most successful, one of the many reasons why they're so successful, is because they believe in that thing so much that there is no other substitute.
100%. People ask me, if you didn't drive Honda, what'd you drive? I go, Acura. They're like, okay, I get it. But let's say Honda and Acura didn't exist. I go, I don't even know what to say. I mean, if there was no Honda and Acura, I can't even conceptualize in my head what I do.
Right.
It just doesn't make sense to me.
That is insane brand loyalty.
Yeah.
Insane brand loyalty. Honda's motorsport history, actually Honda's history overall is so rich. I'm sure as you developed Honda Pro Jason, you found out more and more things about Honda.
Yeah, it's interesting because there's a lot of stuff I did not know. Like I knew all the new car stuff.
Yeah.
I knew some of the technology stuff. You know, I didn't know Honda had so many firsts being a Japanese company. And, you know, what Mr. Honda did to bring Hondas to America and why he brought Hondas to America. You know, he thought to be successful in business, he had to be successful in America. And he brought motorcycles, you know, he bought the first building he bought for cash here in California. And 1959.
Wow.
And bought it for cash, started bringing over some motorcycles and bring them to different dealerships and saying, hey, listen, you know, this is what we think is going to be the next motorcycle. And it's not the Harley. It's not the, you know, the big dudes with the leather jackets. This is going to be every person's motorcycle.
Right.
And they're like, no, we don't want those. But then as he showed, you know, how reliable they were and how you can use them just to go get groceries.
Yeah.
You know, things that people didn't think about using motorcycles for before. It just started taking off and just started getting bigger and bigger. And then with the racing heritage he had out in Japan, when he started bringing cars over, same exact thing happened. The motorcycles were selling crazy. Like it was, you know, the number one most sold motorcycle, I believe 5 or 6 years after they came to the country.
Yeah.
You know, beating Harley Davidson and all the other big names out here. So they started bringing cars over. You know, so we have this car, N600. It's this little tiny car. We think it's going to do really good for America. And they said, you know, the motorcycles are great. Car is not going to happen. So he dropped them off the story is he dropped off 50 of them, 50. He made 50 cars. He dropped them off at different dealerships. Most of them were Pontiac dealerships. Dropped them off and they took you're familiar with the N600? Real small.
Of course.
So they took those and they shoved them in a corner away from all the other cars, thinking no one's ever going to buy them. Well, people started showing interest in them. They started selling more and more of them.
Wow.
So they said, you know what? We're going to come out with, you know, the Civic, which is the next big one.
Yeah.
And that was the one that really changed everything. That car was just out of the box, just an absolute amazing vehicle. The CVCC engine, you great gas mileage, super low emissions, didn't even need a catalytic converter.
Yeah.
And this is when all the emission laws came out and all cars need a catalytic converter to pass.
Right.
This one came out and passed without. It's just a lot of these things I didn't know. And the more research I did, the more I was like, wow, this is more than just a company that has Bluetooth and seats that fold down.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
This is a weird time because this is for the first time when Japanese cars are going across the auction block and commanding some big dollars.
Knowing as much as you know about the Honda brand, why do you think that is?
So when the people now, let's say let's say we're in our 40s to 50s, we couldn't afford the Civic Type R when it was new.
Yeah.
$24,000. We didn't have the money. We were 19, 20, 21 years old.
Yeah.
We can afford it now. The muscle cars started coming back big when the people that grew up with the muscle cars when they were 16, 17, 18 years old couldn't afford them.
Yeah.
When they were in their 40s or 50s, they could afford them. The prices shot through the roof. So I really think that now the prices are going to start shooting through the roof again. And people are going to be looking because they're tough to find. There are not
unmolested ones are tough to find.
Unmolested ones, correct, because a lot of them have just been totally changed.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think people are really going to start looking for these. And fortunately or unfortunately, most of them are in Japan.
Yeah.
I've been to Japan a couple of times, and it will blow your mind. The amount of cars are just sitting there.
Really? Just sitting there?
I have a couple of videos where we go car spotting.
Okay.
And it's a place called, it's a company called Wasabi Cars.
Okay.
Daniel O'Grady. He does a great job. He lives out he's a Australian that lives in Japan.
Okay.
He does this thing called car spotting, and he goes out to these big open fields and he finds old Japanese cars that are literally just rotting away. Any kind of Japanese car, Nissan, Toyota, Honda, they're just sitting in fields, rotting away.
Why?
I don't know why.
Makes no sense.
And they won't sell them.
Really?
He's found, farmland with barns filled with cars. We will not sell any of these. I don't know why.
That's very strange.
It has to be a cultural thing.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Well, the Japanese culture in itself is very interesting.
Yes.
And something like that, yeah, I could believe it.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's weird though.
A lot of the Hondas, they're just kind of popping up. You familiar with serial number 1?
I'm not.
So the first 50 cars that I said were sent over from Japan to America, there was a first one.
Okay.
The first Honda they ever made for America.
Okay.
And it was serial number 0001.
Okay.
So this is the very first car Honda ever made to send to the US.
Okay.
So this began everything. This car no one ever knew about the car. And a N600 mechanic, Tim Mings, actually owned the car, found out just by sheer luck that he owned the car. He had a bunch of N600s.
Okay.
He was looking for parts for one of them. And as he was looking for parts, he rubbed off the VIN number of a parts car and he goes, wait a second, this can't be right. There's no way this is the very first car Honda ever sent over and it's just sitting in my garage. So he contacted Honda. He goes, hey, Honda, look what I got. And Honda's like, well, we want you to restore it.
Wow.
So he restored serial number 1. And it's an epic story. It's all documented. It's really, really cool. Honda now owns the car. And this was the very first Honda ever made for the US.
That's nuts. That's nuts.
Stories like that and little things are popping up here and there, which I think is amazing.
There's something about Honda that catches you. Toyota's got its kind of fanboys too, with the MR2, with the Supra. But Honda was just, I think they started off as more of a driver's car. And that's maybe why it is. Is that kind of what the experience is like? Like maybe you can help me understand my own love for Honda better.
It's interesting you say that because there are people that love the Mustang and they love the MR2 and they love certain models of certain manufacturers.
Yeah.
Honda fans in the US, not abroad, it's totally something totally different. We'll get into that in a second. Honda fans in the US love the brand Honda. They love the Odyssey. They love the HR-V and the CR-V and the Fit and the Civic and the Accord. They love the brand. They love what the brand stands for. I don't know a lot of people that love the Toyota brand. They love their models and they have fanboys, but When's the last time you saw anyone with a Toyota tattoo on their arm?
That's true. That's very true.
Right?
Toyota's, in comparison to Honda's, had so many home runs too. A lot of home runs, and actually arguably more real kind of sports cars than Honda had.
Sure.
And it's funny how it doesn't work that way. It's just weird. Do you think it's maybe more of a motor game? Because really, Toyota, if you look at it, 2JZ, right?
Sure.
Honda, B18, B16, K20, right. K24. I mean, there's so many different motors. Yeah. The 6 cylinders with the J30s, J32s. There's so many different engines that you could really use for motorsport. So you think that is one of the reasons why Honda is, or maybe one of the many reasons why Honda is what it is today?
Yeah, I think so. Also, I always said Hondas were like Legos. Huh. You could like pull engines out of one and put it in another.
It's true. It's
pull
very
bumpers
true.
off one, put it in another. Like they were just, and I think they were engineered that way.
Huh.
And the engineers really put some thought into what they were doing. And they might have not known the culture was going to turn into what it was, but it did. And it's amazing.
Right. So I want to talk to you about the bootstrapping and actually putting together this Honda Pro, Jason, because it sounds like you were doing Honda sales for a long time, wasn't it?
20 years.
20 years.
Yeah.
It's hard to take something like that and all that effort and time that you put into it and go, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to do something else. What prompted the change?
Yeah, I never thought I was going to do something else. There was never a thought in my mind where I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to put some work into it. And then at this point in my life, I'm going to make a turn. It just happened. Like, I guess like most great things, I didn't wake up one day with this great idea. I made that video for YouTube.
Okay.
And it did well. And people were like, make another video. I'm like, I'm in car sales. I got plenty of time to make videos. So I made another video. And then I had other car salesmen contact me and go, hey, you know what? I watched that video you made on the Civic. I learned a ton of stuff I didn't know. And I've been selling these cars for 10 years.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that's cool. So I'm helping people. And it doesn't really cost a whole lot of money right now. That soon changed. And I'm doing good and everything's awesome. And I'm selling some cars. And all of a sudden I'm like, well, maybe if I made more videos, maybe if I promoted myself a little bit more. So I'm like, you know what do I like? I always like people that give stuff away. I'm always more apt to tune into someone that's like, hey, you want a free t-shirt? Yeah, well, watch this or listen to this or share this. I'm like, cool. So I started buying some t-shirts, started buying, different apparel and started giving Honda stuff away to people to get them more excited about the brand. Like, you know what? I need to get out there and tell more people about my videos that I'm doing. So instead of just telling the people at my dealership, which I did, what I do is as soon as I got a video out, I'd walk around the entire dealership. I'd ask every single person, did you watch my new video? No, Jason, we didn't. Could you just watch it for me? And there was, 50 or 60 people in my dealership, and those are my 50 or 60 extra views.
Yeah.
Which seems silly thinking about it now, but I had to get everyone involved.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? I need to go to more car shows. So I need a car. Like I need something that's going to look really, at the time I was trying to beat up Civic of some sort. I'm like, you know what? A guy traded in a 1997 Civic 5-speed EX.
Okay.
212,000 miles. The car looked like it just came out the showroom floor.
Crazy.
The guy would come in for service and he'd say, my floor mat's a little bit worn out. I'd like a new one, please.
Wow.
This molding has a little bit of sun damage. I'd like a new one, please. So I'm like, I got to buy this car. People are going to flip out, right? Like Honda Pro Jason drives this car. I put my stickers all over it. I went to car shows and I go, Honda Pro Jason. Oh, I'm doing great. Dude, where's your car? Like, I want to see what you drive. I'm like, oh, I got that 97 Civic over there. Had hubcaps, all original hubcaps. Everything was all factory. I was so proud of it. They walked over like, okay, cool, but we'll be back because there's a newer car with like 18-inch rims here.
Sure.
Or an exhaust system. And we're taking photos of it and they're going crazy. And I'm like, you don't love this stock 97? Nobody cared.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I need to switch this up a little bit. I need to change my game. So I went out and bought an orange Civic Si.
Okay.
And then I supercharged it.
Okay.
And I put some custom paint and made it real different. And people went mad. They went everywhere. I'm like, cool, this is what I want. I want the enthusiasts to go crazy for this car. And I want to go to shows where people will travel miles and miles to go see my car. Therefore, increasing, how many people go to the show.
Sure.
And just helping the community out. And that seemed to work really well.
So you drove that up until this new project.
That's funny. The old car was called Project Orange.
And this one is not Project Yellow.
It is not called Project Yellow because it's yellow.
Yeah.
No, it's called Experiment 891.
Yeah. So talk to me about that. What does that mean?
About a year and a half ago, I bought a Civic Type R, which was my dream car for the last 18 years. And Type R has been the forbidden fruit. We've never had it.
Yeah.
not the Civics. All other countries have always had a Civic Type R. We never have. And by no means am I taking any credit for the Civic Type R coming to America, but I do have a really good relationship with Honda.
Okay.
And I have for the last probably 5.5, 6 years. And I've been talking to Honda about bringing the Civic Type R to America in different ways it could happen and if it could happen and why it hasn't happened in the past. And I was told 2.5, almost 3 years ago, and broke the news to the world that we will be getting a Civic Type R. Fortunately or unfortunately, I broke the news on April 1st.
Oh, okay.
Because they told me, they're like, you can tell everyone on April 1st. I go, it's April Fool's Day. They're like, so? I go, it's April Fool's Day. People are waiting. Like, people are going to think.
You're right.
No, they won't. Well, half the people thought it was April Fool's.
Sure.
So I had corporate Honda in a video with me saying, I go, it's April 1st. No, this is true. Like, we are really doing this. So after waiting, with everyone, all the other enthusiasts, 18 years, we finally got a Civic Type R.
Yeah.
So I talked to Honda. I'm like, listen, I really want the car. I had a good agreement and a good relationship with a dealership up in New York, Mohawk Honda. I'm like, I want the Civic Type R. This is about 8 months before the car came out. He goes, no problem. I go, I want to buy it at MSRP. He looked at me, he goes, sure. Like, he was almost going to discount it. And if he knew what he knows now,
yeah.
Right? So MSRP, everything's cool. I pick up the car and I talk to Honda. I'm like, listen, I'm sorry. Before I picked up the car, I talked to Honda America and Honda UK. I go, listen, before I get this car, any way I can fly to the UK in Swindon to the Honda factory and watch the car being built. And they said, no one's ever done that before. I'm like, well, no one's ever done a lot of stuff.
Yeah. That's actually the video I discovered you with.
Dude, it was so much fun. So I'm like, you know what? I want to go over there and I want to video everything. And like, we'd love you to come. It'd be great, but we can't allow you to video.
Yeah.
I go, well, I'm not going to come. They're like, well, we really want you to, and then allow me to video. And we had this agreement. I said, listen, here's the deal. What are you afraid of? We're afraid of this, and this. I go, great. Let me put your minds at ease. When I'm done videoing and I'll edit up, I'll give you the first rough cut. You can take anything out. What do you mean? You can delete any part you want. I don't care. You'll let us do that. 100%. Okay. So I made the first rough cut and they took out a lot of stuff.
I'm sure.
And it blew my mind. I was like, why are you taking this out? Well, you see that tool? That tool is not supposed to be there. It's supposed to be on the other side. I go, seriously? Seriously. They're like, do you know who's going to watch this video? I go, hope everyone. They said, what if the president of Honda watched this video?
It's also true. Okay.
Right?
Makes sense.
And saw a tool where it's not supposed to be, or saw a guy without his name badge on. We could, and not saying that was happening. It might have happened, but it's not in the video. He could get in trouble. Everyone get in. So a couple of rough cuts. So I actually flew out to Swindon.
Okay.
I watched my car being born. It was incredible. Like, it was just knowing that was going to be the car that I was going to drive.
Yeah.
And then I said, you know what? Type R is cool. It's fun, but I need to step it up a little bit. Like, I need to make it even more crazy and more exotic.
Right.
And that's where the idea of repainting the car came in. Not to mention, I'm a big Phoenix Yellow fan.
Okay.
Only because it's different.
It certainly is, yeah.
So it might not be everyone's favorite color, but they only use it on the Type R.
People go pretty crazy about paint to sample Porsche, and this is pretty paint to sample. This is also a car in a color that you do need to see in person.
I like that you said that, because I bring the car. I'm from Chicago. We're in California.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that drive.
We will, but we'll talk about the reason why I didn't trailer it. I didn't trailer it. It's driven.
Well, it's a Honda. It's supposed to be driven.
Right, but it's a long drive.
Yes.
And it's a real expensive paint job.
Yeah, that's okay.
And that, a lot of weird things could happen on the road, but we'll get into that for a minute. So I fly to Swindon. I see the car being built. I said, I need to change it up a little bit. I want to paint it yellow.
Okay.
But I don't just want to paint it. I want to color change it, which means the entire car has to come apart. So I found a body shop I had a good relationship with. It's a Kirk's Collision Center. I talked to the owner, Kyle. I'm like, listen, Kyle, I want to color change my new Type R. He goes, well, to do that, what's your goal? My goal is no tape marks. I don't want anything taped off. I want everything to come apart. He goes, you understand that every bolt, nut, fastener, glass, engine, interior, every panel comes completely off the car. Yep. I understand that. You want to do it? He goes, we'll do it. It'll take a while. It took 8 months.
Yeah.
So I bought a brand new Civic Type R. 3 months after I bought it, I gave it to him for 8 months. And this is a car that people are waiting months to get.
Sure.
This is a car that most people have never seen in real life. They've only read stories and seen it in pictures.
Right.
And I have the entire car in pieces in this guy's body shop in Missouri.
You know, if we're talking about dedication, that's some serious dedication. I don't think I would have been able to do that. I don't think I would have been able to make that type of commitment because I would want to drive the car.
Understandable. Yeah, I saw what the future was going to be, and I was willing to make the sacrifices to get there. Not to mention, I'm on the road a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm home once or twice a month. So, I mean, this Civic Type R, that's my daily.
Yeah.
And I drive it not often.
Mm-hmm.
You know, usually it's long drives across the country.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's usually not that often.
Right. So how'd the car get its name?
So Experiment 891, that name came about because I actually ran a contest. I couldn't figure out a name for my car because I think that if people are going to fall in love with something or someone, you need a name.
Yeah.
It can't just be like my Civic Type R.
Yeah,
So I'm like, I need Project Orange was great. People, how's Project Orange? What's going on with Project Orange? So I'm like, I need a name, Project Yellow. Just didn't have the same
have that
ring
to it. Yeah.
So I ran a contest and I picked Experiment. The winner said Experiment 984. It's some Lilo and Stitch character. And the character was yellow. And he loved hamburgers.
Okay.
And I love hamburgers.
Okay.
And my car's yellow.
All right.
So I'm like, I like the experiment part because it is an experiment. Like there are things I've tried that didn't work. There are other things I've tried that have worked. So I'm going to keep changing and experimenting to see what people like and what I like and what I don't like. 891 is the badge number of the car.
Okay.
So I put Experiment 891 all together and I kept the name Experiment 891.
Oh, no. That all makes sense now.
So there you go.
All right.
And now you're in the know.
Boom. There it is. There's the catchphrase. So why did you drive it instead of trailing it?
So I wanted the experience of driving. I also wanted to show the car to people.
Yeah.
People can't see the car if it's in a trailer.
Yeah, if you take it out of the trailer.
Right, but on the road.
That's also true.
I could probably fill a book with how many thumbs up, how many photos, how many times I stop at a gas station and people come out of their cars. Chevys, they come off their Harleys, they come out of their GM trucks and they're like, your car's nice. Can I take a picture of it?
Wow.
Yeah, sure. Well, why? How many yellow ones were there? It's the only one in the world. What do you mean? This is the only painted yellow Civic Type R FK in the world, which is weird to say because the world is a big place.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cars.
A lot of Civics too. And
a lot of Civics.
Yeah, arguably a decent amount of Type Rs too.
Sure. I mean, you can see plenty of them now.
Yeah.
And this is the only painted yellow one in the world. But if I put the car in the trailer, people wouldn't be able to see that. They wouldn't be able to get excited about the brand. Now, Honda didn't bring this car out to make money on. This isn't a money-making car.
Yeah.
This is an excitement, a halo car. This is something to get people excited about the brand. So that's what I did. I used it like Honda wanted it to be used to bring excitement to the brand. So if people see my car, they get excited like, wow, this guy has so much passion for the brand. His car looks awesome. You know what? I was thinking about different brands, but maybe I look at Honda. And then they buy a Civic or they buy an Odyssey or they buy a Ridgeline.
You told me before we were about to sit down on the hot mics that you had some stories.
So one of my favorite stories I love telling people, I want to tell you about how I met the CEO of Honda, the old CEO, Mr. Yamada. Mm-hmm. This is great. So, you know, I'm Honda Pro Jason. I'm doing my thing. It's about a year in, and I go to an event called NADA, a big event for a National Dealership Association of America. I'm out there, and somebody's like, "Hey, have you met Mr. Yamada?" I haven't. He's the CEO of American Honda. I go, I'd love to meet him and say hi.
Right.
So somebody introduces me, Mr. Yamada. I'm Jason. Nice to meet you. I run a Honda YouTube channel. It's all Honda related. I love the brand, and it's under Honda Pro Jason. He goes, oh, what do you do? I explain, I make videos and this and that. He's like, oh, okay, it was really nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too. Can we take a selfie? Click, a selfie. Cool. Next day, I see him at another Honda meeting. He walks out to me. He goes, Honda Pro Jason. And Mr. Yamada, you remember? He goes, yes. He goes, I'm in the know. I go, I'm sorry? He goes, smells like Honda. And he starts repeating to me all of my lines. Like my sign off is, I'm the Honda Pro and now you're in the know. Because you know more about Honda because of me. I'm educating you on the brand.
Right.
And I'm like, did you watch my video? He goes, all night. I go, what do you mean? He goes,
wow.
I watch your videos almost all night long. I go, really? He goes, this is amazing. He goes, this is what the brand needs. The brand needs someone like you. I want you to work with our PR department. And I'm like, yeah, I'd love to. He goes, I'm going to introduce you to a girl, Robin Eagles, and she's head of PR, and she is going to help you build your brand and help us.
Amazing.
Cool. So we're at Detroit Auto Show, which is right after that. I meet Robin Eagles. And he goes, anything Jason wants, you give him.
Holy crap. Okay.
This is amazing. Like, this is like the key to the empire, right?
Yeah.
So me and Robin are talking a little bit. I'm like, hey, I heard that the new HRV, there's an HRV coming out. She goes, there is. It's right before the car got launched.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, and there's like a media drive people are talking about where the media, like Car and Driver and Road and Track, Automobile Magazine, they get to drive the car beforehand. Yeah, they do. I go, can I go?
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, well, there's no openings. Like, we're full. I go, Mr. Yamada, Mr. Yamada said anything I want. This is my chance. Like, anything I want, he said, give me. She goes, what's funny? There's one periodical that hasn't okayed yet. One magazine hasn't said yes.
Okay.
I'm going to give them to the end of the day. Otherwise, you're in. It was a long end of the day for me. I was like waiting and sweating it out. Called me the next morning. She goes, you're in.
Wow.
They flew me out to Miami. I got to see new HRV. And that kind of started my tight relationship with Honda.
Mm-hmm.
And Honda treats me as press.
Okay.
So I go out with Road and Track and Car and Driver and all these magazines, that we grew up reading.
Right.
And these writers and that we looked at and going, my God, these guys are amazing. I'm now next to them making funny faces in the camera, jumping up and down, talking about the brand.
Right.
And they're looking at me like, who is this kid with no journalism, experience and never went to school? And what is he doing?
Yeah.
Now we're all friends and we go to these
That's
events
great.
and they're like, hey, Honda Pro, show me this one thing again. Like, I'd love to. Like, that's what I do. Like, come over and check this out. Yeah. So it's really cool. So that's one of my favorite ones. The other one is the day that everything kind of changed.
Mm-hmm.
So I was working in car sales.
Okay.
And things are going not so good. I'm not selling cars, I'm making videos. I'm not talking to customers because I'm making videos.
Okay.
The people that are coming to see me at the dealership are usually customers from other dealerships that they couldn't answer the questions. And they're like, hey, we saw you online. Can you help us? And all the salesmen at my dealership are like, Jason, you're an idiot. They're using you. Like, all these other salesmen are laughing because they're literally sending their customers to you because they don't know the answers.
Yeah.
And they've already made the money. You're making no money. You need to do something.
Right.
So at this point, I had maxed out all my credit cards. I had emptied my 401k just to build my brand.
Yeah.
I wasn't making a whole lot of money in my job, but I was
Sure.
still traveling and buying cars and trying to build up a brand, which is expensive.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting in bed with my girlfriend, now wife, and she turns to me and she goes, do you want to get married? Yeah, I want to get married. You want to marry me? Yeah, we've talked about this. Like, what's up? She goes, I'm not going to marry someone that's buried in debt, not making any money at their job, and has no savings. She goes, I love you, but that's no way to start a relationship.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, like something's going to happen. Like, if I just keep pushing,
Yeah.
I know something's eventually going to break. And maybe 2 weeks later, I was approached by an advertising and marketing company.
Okay.
And they're like, hey, listen, we know what you're doing. We love that. We want you to work for us. And I was getting job offers left and right. People that own dentists, people that foot doctors and all these weird computer consultants. And they see what I did on social media and they want that for their company.
Okay.
Like, we want to hire you to do our social media. I'm like,
Right.
I only do Honda. I'm not a social media guy.
Right.
I'm a Honda guy.
Okay.
And my social media has been brought up because of my love and passion for the brand.
Sure.
By no means do I have love and passion for dentistry.
Right.
Like, I brush, but that's it, right?
Yeah.
So when this guy came along, I'm like, that's cool. Like, thank you so much. But, I got this YouTube thing going on. I'm selling some cars. He goes, listen, we just want you to keep doing YouTube. Keep training salesmen. Because I was training salesmen as a salesman.
Right.
So I was working as a salesman, going to other Honda dealerships and training other salesmen.
Okay.
Which doesn't make sense to me at all, but that's how it worked and people loved it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it makes sense, but go on.
So about 2 or 3 weeks later, this guy approaches me and I'm like, I'm good. He goes, well, just come have coffee with me.
Okay.
And let me just talk to you and tell you what I want. And he basically wanted me to do exactly what I was doing, but he'd pay me for it.
Okay. That's nice.
That
That's always
sounds
a
really
perk.
good. What do I? He goes, you don't have to do anything. Just keep making YouTube videos. We want to use this as talent for other videos that we're going to put out there.
Okay.
And we want you to go to dealerships and do more training. We
Okay.
want you out there all the time training salesmen. This sounds amazing. Now, can I still go to enthusiast events? Sure you can. Can I still do my own Honda Pro? We want you to do your own Honda Pro Jason thing, but we know that you're probably not making a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
So we want to supplement that so you can actually do that and grow your business.
Okay.
It's been awesome.
So you're still doing that today?
I'm still doing that today.
That's amazing.
It's outstanding because people are like, oh, so do you work for someone? I'm like, I kind of work with someone.
Yeah.
Like they supplement my income.
Right.
YouTube is income. And they supplement that income so I can live and I can do the things I want to do.
Sure.
But I don't really work for them. I kind of do my own thing. So, today I'm here with you.
Yeah.
I put that on my calendar. They won't book me for anything because I'm here with you.
Okay.
I put on, H Day. I put on IBOC meet. Whoever wants me to do something for like an enthusiast event or just out there to help the community, I put that on my calendar and they will book dealership visits around that.
Jason, this is by far the least favorite part of the show for me, the wrap up.
No, it's all good. No, well, we will definitely meet up again. We'll definitely talk some more. And I'll have more stories. I haven't even gotten into any of my stories overseas. Malaysia, Japan, Scandinavia, all over Europe. Wait till those.
My guest for this episode was Jason Richmond, aka Honda Pro Jason. You can find Jason on YouTube, Instagram, pretty much everywhere at Honda Pro Jason. The Road Stories podcast is recorded, mixed, and produced by Michael Senderovich. Original music is provided by Clarence in the Road Stories project. You can find more music by Clarence by going to soundcloud.com/Clarence Los Angeles. If you like this podcast, please leave us a review. It helps the show greatly. And lastly, please follow the show on social media at RS Podcast. Thanks so much for listening.